Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Get It Straight. This monthly all-resident meeting is hosted by your resident association, and we often invite members of administration to share information that's important to everyone. Typically, we begin with new residents when we have photos to show, but we don't have any to share with you today. And that is one of the drawbacks of being sold out, or sold out but one apartment, I think that is. But along with welcoming new residents, my favorite part of Get It Straight is always our milestones. And we have, usually we do this in 5-year increments, but we have one special person. We don't like to discourage people who are getting up to a 5-year increment to leave. So we want to celebrate Pat Pickett, same Pat, new name, who on February 12th celebrated 19 years. And she's had many titles since she came here as the move-in coordinator. She is officially our director of community life, but we consider her our trip planner extraordinaire.
Thank you.
So. And the other milestone we're celebrating today is John Jackson, who will mark 30 years at White Sands on February 23rd. He goes by Jackson, and many of you may not have met Jackson because he works the 11 to 7 shift. But I, for one, feel very comforted knowing that he's been here that long and he knows how to deal with any possible situation. So if you do happen to see Jackson, please thank him for his dedication. And of course, you see Pat all the time. But we're really blessed to have such exceptional long-term team members working for us. Today, we announce if we did something at the resident council meeting. And today, after a thorough discussion at our meeting this morning, the council unanimously voted to reaffirm Concerned Seniors Making a Difference as a committee under the Residents Association. Like several other council committees, it promotes learning and understanding on current issues that are of importance to our society. Follow Your Good challenge. We are in week 5 of. Oh. What happened? Okay. We're in week. Don't touch that. Okay. I'm not a trackpad person, so it makes me very nervous. We're in week 5 of a 6-week challenge. We're stuck in 5th place, I think, still. And so that's not a good place for White Sands to be. This week's challenge revolves around mental wellness. And if you haven't already taken the survey for this week, Pat will be over here afterwards. There's a 5-minute meditation video that we're going to show after Get It Straight. You can do the meditation and then you can take your phone out or go to an iPad and complete the survey. And Pat has t-shirts for those of you who haven't picked them up yet. And in case you missed this, or if you missed one of the other challenges, next Friday from 4 to 5 at the Ocean Bar, Pat will be here to enable people to do makeup sessions. And you can come and get a glass of wine and a treat if you do your makeup session. So, and well, you can get your purple t-shirt too. Yes, wear the purple. Wear the purple t-shirt. And Shelley is very competitive, so is Pat. They like to win. So please finish your surveys. Many of you were here at the ice cream social last week when we distributed thank you letters to the residents, to the team members from the residents at White Sands. And I thought you'd enjoy some of the pictures. Obviously, Francisco was very pleased with his envelope. And this is a copy of the letter that was in the envelope. And it was personalized to each team member, and it said the amount that they received from our team member appreciation campaign. And these are the numbers. $294,981 raised, a record, of which 294,100 was distributed. And they always keep a little bit back, but that gets added to the pot next year. We had 222 donors, 83% of all of our residents, 252 team members. That's up from last year. We had 243. The average gift of $1,177 was over $200 more than we gave out last year. And the maximum gift was $2,237. So new record for dollars raised and new record for number of team members included. And so I would like to thank our extraordinary co-chairs for this campaign, Eduardo and Irene, who had such a good time. In case you didn't ever do the puzzle's upstairs on the table in the library, so you can do the White Sands puzzle. So they're bowing out. It's going to be a hard act to follow, but we're looking for somebody else. And of course, thank you to our fabulous team members at White Sands. Now, Shelley and Mike Foley I'll turn it over to them to present a financial report on 2025. Shelley?
Thank you. I just want to give one more round of applause to all the residents, really, for what you've done for team member appreciation. The team is just so thrilled. I think it was about 25% more than we'd ever raised. So your generosity truly means a lot to the team. Thank you so much. So my presentation. Whenever I talk about finances, someone always pulls me aside afterwards and says, just give me one word summary. And my one word summary this year is we had a good year. So if you hear nothing else, know that we had a good year. So this is the breakdown, operating revenue. I'm going to talk about variances. So if you look in that column that's in the upper right-hand side, you'll notice that our operating revenue, this is all in thousands. Our operating revenue was better than budget by $1.1 million. Remember, our operating revenue only comes from resident fees. We have no other source of revenue other than monthly fees from residents. So that's a good sign. It means that we are full. We had really a full house last year, and we anticipate that this year as well. Total employee costs was better than budget by $60,000. Non-wage expenses better than budget by $189,000, which totals just under 1.4 million better than budget. And then net cash from turnover entrance fees. So turnover entrance fees means the money coming in with entrance fees less money going out with rebatable entrance fees. And that was better than budget by 1.2 million. So a total net cash production of 2.5 million. So these slides are prepared by our home office. In the bottom there, they have a little synopsis. It says that the operating margin outperformed by budget by just under 1.4 million. It says due to favorable occupancy and memory support, but we could also add residential living in there. We do have opportunities in assisted living in the health center where we didn't quite meet budget in those areas. And then non-wage expenses were favorable due to utility costs and favorable variances in buildings and grounds with their service contracts and purchase services. And then we were able to recoup about $85,000 in bad debt expense. So all in all, a good year. So cash sources, what is cash inflow? It's your operating margin, net entrance fees, and investment income. And then cash outflow are the capital projects, which we'll discuss, interest expense, and debt principal. Combining operating margin entrance fees, it shows here operating margin plus the entrance fees equals net cash production. And then net cash production, it just says that that measures the financial health of our communities. So just looking at operating revenue, if you look at the totals on the bottom there, it says residential living occupancy. So we ended the year better than budget. So for residential living, it was 95.6 occupancy versus a budget of 94.9. Assisted living, we really struggled in 2025. We did not come close to budget. We were at 80.9% in actual versus a budget of 94.6%. Couple of reasons for that. We had construction going on in assisted living. Sales had a lot of people saying they didn't want to move in during construction. And we also have a lot of competition in this realm. As of today, we have 2 unoccupied assisted living apartments. So we have made up some of that loss there. Memory support occupancy was very strong in 2025, 92.4% versus a budget of 80%. And then our health center just barely missed it. Although we made budget, and I'll talk about that in a minute, our occupancy was lower than expected. That's the bottom line. So this graph shows our trends. This looks at occupancy in residential living. That orange line is the budget. So you can see almost every month we were better than budget in residential living in 2025. You can see the opposite of assisted living. Again, the orange line is the budget, but we fell under that in every month. But we've made up some traction on that this year. Memory support, we were better than budget the entire year. And then there's health center, kind of all over the place, but overall we did make budget financially, just not with occupancy. So this talks about total employee cost. So we were better than budget by about $60,000. That's favorable due to regular salaries. We do have opportunities to improve with our use of outside labor, overtime costs. So overtime is something we need to continue to work on. We also have some missed meal costs that only apply to California communities that we are actively trying to address as well. So if you see that number in green, salary expenses as percent of total operating revenue, about 46% of your monthly fees go directly toward labor. Okay, next slide, non-wage costs. And non-wage costs, we were better than budget by $189,000. I'll explain that on this slide. So these are all of our non-wage costs in the categories. So looking down from the left, you'll see direct resident care, better than budget. Resident activities, we were over slightly about $15,000. Dining, we were over by about $32,000. That's related to higher food costs, and I know they started the nightly fish special dishes, which added to the cost as well. Housekeeping and laundry, we were struggling with staffing in housekeeping, so we brought in an outside company called People Ready. They're the gentlemen that you see wearing the black outfits. They've been helping us in the common areas, but because of that, we were over in non-wage costs in housekeeping. Buildings and grounds better than budget by about $39,000. Utilities significantly better than budget by about $127,000. Transportation and security better than budget by $23,000. Sales and marketing right on. Admin, IT, and HR, that's really that bad debt expense that I talked about. That falls under admin. And then property and finance and other departments were really right on. So looking at the comments that they've written for me, it says unfavorable in housekeeping due to service contracts. That's the People Ready service that we've hired. And then there is a favorable variance in buildings and grounds due to lower service contracts and purchase service expenses. And then, as I mentioned, admin, IT, and HR favorable due to the recovery of about $85,000 in bad debt last year. So that helped us as well. And then net entrance fees, as I mentioned, our turnover entrance fees are the money coming in, and then you deduct the money going out from your rebates. We were better than budget by $1.2 million. So you're probably wondering, what did we spend money on for capital? Well, we spent about $6.2 million on capital expenses last year. One of the highest things was apartment remodels. So anytime we turn over an apartment, we bring it up to standard, and we spent about $2 million just on apartment remodels. Our cooling tower replacement, you'll remember Lorraine talking about that. That was about $370,000. Assisted living refresh and memory support refresh came in around $1 million, but there's still expenses going on in that. The video wall cost us $95,000. Master plan study was around 50. We just got results from that. We're still working on that piece. Then we also worked on the employee men's restroom. It's almost done, not quite. A condenser for the main dining room. Open roaming, that's the program that we installed last year. Oh, it's really raining. So that you could walk through campus and not drop your phone calls. That, if you're on Verizon, that is not the case. I apologize, but everyone else should have open roaming and enjoying that service. We bought new boilers, corridor carpet replacement that was on the second floor. That was around $50,000. The pool project, those funds have gone through several years now, I'm sorry to say, but it's been a big project, so that was a significant source of funding for capital as well. Landscape refresh, you might remember we completed the corner project on Pearl and Olivetas. We replaced all the washers and dryers on campus for resident use. The roof repair. We put in a ductless split system into our social services offices. We replaced the patio shades outside of the bistro. We improved the doors. We brought in new doors for the memory support area. Housekeeping has new iPads. I think we purchased about 25 iPads. We renovated the storage room on the first floor at storage room R17. That's been completely renovated. Health center motor replacement, admin office furniture, linen cabinet, admin office flooring, that was for Donna Wolf and Caroline's office. Social service furniture, East Campus repipe, uninterruptible power supply, steam cleaner, assisted living appliances, forklift battery replacement. We replaced our UPS network backup, and this is just some of the items that we did. So any questions for me? Eduardo.
The fact that you had less customers and expenses in health and assisted living is a testimony that our health span is improving.
Right, I agree. Well stated. Any other comments or questions? Or anything in the chat, Louise? No. Okay. Up next is Mike Foley. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Kelly. Well, that's a great report, and we get reports like that quarterly, and Shelley just does a fantastic job. Yeah. The Finance and Budget Committee, which is one of the committees of the White Sands Residential Council, regularly reviews White Sands operation data, just like we reviewed the White Sands Foundation funds and the White Sands Residential Association committee expenses. This just lists the committee and the people that regularly attend those meetings. I'm going to be talking about the foundation funds, and we have almost $10 million worth of foundation funds within the human good operation, and 10 million are those that are designated to support White Sands. They've been given for the most part by current and former residents of White Sands, and an accumulation of the income that's been derived on those funds investment. Going across the top, just to understand how these slides work. We start with the beginning balance in a fund. In the case of resident benevolence, that was about $3,835,000. Next, the donations, then the earnings that we have on those funds, the spending or distribution, how much we actually used those funds during the year, and then we take a look at the ending balance. Our funds are really divided into two kinds of funds. The operating funds, those are funds that are available to be spent, and the endowment funds, those are funds that people have donated for a specific purpose with the requirement that the dollar amount that they invested needs to be retained. So then in the case of those funds, the only funds that can be used are the earnings that have been derived from those funds. So, so in the case of benevolence, we actually had an increase in the funds this year of $1,375,000. And then you see the detail down below. A resident gave a substantial amount of money back in 2015 that never really got allocated to the White Sands Benevolent Fund account. And so given the work of a couple members of a couple residents that are here right now, I think Carolyn Downey was probably the most active one who was able to get that recategorized into the White Sands Benevolent Fund. So that was $796,000. We also had bequests from two former residents that amounted to $520,000. And for that, we can thank Warren Bates and Marge McBride. So I think a good hand for, maybe they can hear it if we clap loud enough. And then we had a gift from a current resident that's anonymous of another $50,000. So those funds earned $568,000 during the year. And of that so from the fund, $123,000 was given to White Sands to cover part of the benevolence expense that was incurred during the year. Human Good also has some other funds that they were able to allocate to White Sands. And so from those funds, another $60,000 was contributed to White Sands. And so in total, $183,000 of funds were used to offset $190,000 of benevolence expense. So in essence, practically all the revenue that wasn't paid by current residents, because essentially their life had outlived their funds, which is benevolence, practically all of it was covered. Here we have 5 of our White Sands Resident Association Committee, which have specific funds that have been set up, have been donated to fund the activities of these 5 committees. So in the case of Chapel, you see that the earnings on those funds generated $16,000, and the expenses of the Chapel Committee were $4,700. And so the revenue, the earnings substantially exceeded the the use of funds. So we ended the year with the chapel having 99,000 of operating funds available, in addition to the 25,000 in their endowment fund. Just running down the Downey Artist Series, we had 65,000 of income. We spent 21,000. And so you can see we've got substantial operating funds that are available, 243,000, in addition to the $250,000 that is in its endowment fund. The Downey New Resident Welcome Fund, which really replaced Lola Lund, and they basically provide the funds for our annual dinner, which recognizes and welcomes the new residents here at White Sands. 22,000 of income, 4,900 of expense. We end the year with 24,000 of operating funds available and 150,000 in its endowment fund. We really have Carolyn Downey to thank for that particular fund. Wish she was with us today, but she's off cruising, as we all know. The Delano Plant and Flower Fund, 2,300 of income, 1,700 of expenses. It still has 17,000 left in its operating fund. The library, income of 3,600, expenses of 1,900, and it still has $27,000 that are available in its operating fund. In total, those 5 committees spent 34,000. The rest of the activities here at White Sands for those committees is funded by the Resident Association Fund. We got 2,000 of donations. We had 43,000 of income. We spent 26,000, and those funds have a balance of 320,000. We also have the David Gray Estate, which was initially 100,000 donation. Its purposes could also be used to support the White Sands, all our resident association committees, so that those funds are also available for that purpose should we need them. Listed here are the major committees that were funded this year. Dial, 1,500, Halloween, 2,700, the New Year's Eve, 6,200, Recognition, 1,800, Sandpiper Singers, 3,600, Sandpiper itself, our new 6,100, and 10 other committees received very small amounts, and in total it was 4,500. So in essence, the total amount, other than those committees that were funded with their own funds, was 26,400. Here's something that we can be very proud of, that the residents and former residents have established funds to provide scholarship assistance for both our team members and for the children of our team members. Very powerful. The Employee Educational Assistance Fund, which is the primary source that we're using today for our team member scholarships. We had a fundraising drive, and thank you, residents, for the 121,000 that was donated this year to that particular fund. So we had donations of 121,000. We had earnings of 106,000. We distributed 32,000 to 8 team members who requested donations or scholarships this year. And so we end the year with 200,000 of operating funds and 676,000 in the endowment. But in addition to the Employee Educational Assistance Fund, we have the Downey Employee Education Fund, which has the same purpose. And should we ever need more to distribute more than we have in the Employee Education Assistance Fund, these funds would be used. So you really need to look at these in total. So in total, we have 329,000 in our operating funds at the end of the year and 751,000 in the endowment fund. Well over $1 million. Dodie, you had a question?
859 should be 860, minor.
Which,
682 plus 178.
oh,
That's just minor,
Yeah.
except that it just jars you when you try and add and you think you're losing it. Just one.
what?
Just 1,000, 682 plus 178. 869. Equals 860.
Oh,
Rounding here.
oh, okay. Thank you. And we see down here the Natasha Scholarship Fund, which is set up for the children of our team members. It had a donation of 109,000 of income. We gave out 21,000 in scholarships to 6 children of our team members. And we ended up with 200,000 left in the operating fund and 641,000 left in the endowment fund. So this is really the Special Projects and Services Fund. These are funds that were donated to White Sands for the benefit of residents and their discretionary funds that Shelley can tap for items that weren't provided for in either the budget or the capital plan, which benefit residents. And during this year, we tapped it for 4 major projects. You all are aware of the teak furniture refinishing that took place, about 20,000 there. We bought some lifts for use in the health center for 13,000. We bought a stage for Reader's Theater for 8,000. And we bought an ice cream machine for 3,900. Where's that in the kitchen? So we had 90,000 of income. We spent 49,000, and so the fund is quite healthy still. 656,000 as a balance. Oops. We have some other foundation funds that generally aren't managed by the council, and those funds have a balance at 80,000 in operating and 53,000 in the endowment. But here's the total we see. In operating funds, we have 7,712,000 that are available. Most of those are in fact in the benevolence fund. And then we have 1,970,000 in the endowment funds, 9,682,000. So we've got a lot of current and former residents that really have supported White Sands. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So we should feel very fat and happy, I think. Okay, the last presentation today is, we've been talking about numbers. So it seemed timely to talk about what a fiduciary is. With us today is Mirelle Sterling. She is a fiduciary. She has several clients here at White Sands. And I gave her a list of questions starting with what is a fiduciary? When might you need one? What do they cost? and who do they replace in your support group? So there are handouts on the chairs, and she'll take some questions at the end, so I will turn it over to Morel.
Thank you so much, Anita. There. So I'm very impressed with White Sands as an organization and the residents here. I'm a little bit intimidated because you might be really much smarter than I am. But here we go. So my name is Meryl Sterling. I've been a fiduciary for 13 years. And that's my contact information. And I also have some business cards on the piano over there if you'd like to pick up one of those. So my intention is that by the end of our time together, that the term professional fiduciary will no longer be a curious or mysterious a conversational piece. And I really do appreciate whatever it took for you to be here. I mean, there's rain out there. I don't know how many of you had to go through the rain to get here. And probably it would have been nicer to be snuggled up in bed with a nice warm blanket. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to take a wild guess, not so wild actually, and assume that you're interested in the question of, well, what is a fiduciary? So if you glance at the handout that was in the chairs when you sat down, I like to say that the services of a professional fiduciary can be described as financial and life affairs management and support. So in the state of California, a professional fiduciary is licensed by the state of California under the direction of the Consumer Affairs. And there were many types of abuses that happened before the licensing went into effect in 2009. And so now, in order to manage the affairs of more than 2 people who are non-family members, you're supposed to be licensed. So from the actual website of the Fiduciary Bureau, it says professional fiduciaries provide critical services to seniors, persons with disabilities, and children. They manage matters for clients including daily care, housing and medical needs, and other financial management services ranging from basic bill paying to estate and investment management. So that's kind of a general outline. And then the legal definitions that fiduciaries can serve, I have them listed here: trustee, conservator, a personal representative, representative payee, and power of attorneys. Now, you can see that the description for conservator, I went into a lot more detail there, because I don't know how many of you saw that movie, that Hollywood movie maybe 3 years ago called I Really Care a Lot. And it was about a nefarious fiduciary who took over the lives of people. And anyway, I want everyone to be rest assured that in California, that would be very, very difficult to happen, because you have to go through the court system. There's a court-appointed attorney who represents you. So that's why I put that information in there. Now, one thing, so that's for you to read, keep in your back pocket. So you might also ask, why might I need a fiduciary and when? That question has a broad range of answers, and it depends on the circumstances of the person asking the question. So are you a solo ager, meaning someone who doesn't have immediate family members and possibly all of the support network around you has gotten older as you've grown older, and it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Are you an aging couple with no children? Are you a person with estranged offspring? Like they don't like you and you don't like them? Are you a person with heirs who don't get along? Oh my goodness, there'll be such a battle after I'm gone, I know that. So all of these categories, and there's others too, of people who might be asking themselves, what happens to me, us, if something happens to me, us? It could be an accident, long-term illness, diminishing capacities, end of life matters, all of those different categories. So have you ever asked yourself that question? What happens to me if something happens to me? I certainly have, and I have appointed a professional fiduciary in my own estate papers for myself and my business. So a private professional fiduciary could bring peace of mind by you knowing that a trustworthy person would be there for you if something did happen to you. That fiduciary is knowledgeable about what's legal and experienced about life-challenging situations. That fiduciary is compassionate and yet practical. That fiduciary is held to a high standard of ethics that includes putting your wishes and choices first. That fiduciary does not operate based on their own self-interest. That fiduciary is not emotionally entangled in the affairs of your life. That fiduciary knows how to get things done effectively and fairly. That fiduciary can navigate knotty issues of family dynamics. As a side note, court judges are very appreciative when private professional fiduciaries show up in their courtrooms or on video these days, because the judges know that the fiduciaries will conduct themselves according to rigorous standards, and the fiduciaries know what they're doing. More often than not, family members do not really know how things work. They make assumptions about the law and fail to act properly. So this might bring to mind the question, are fiduciaries a substitute for family? Well, let's be really clear. All of those roles that are in your handout, a family member can do. So you don't have to, you can choose a family member. And in fact, you can choose the person sitting next to you right now and say, hey, will you be my power of attorney? However, family members, they can be power of attorney for finances, power of attorney for healthcare. They can be your successor trustee. But most family members have their own lives, their own careers, their own families. And if they need to step in, excuse me, my water's over there. Thank you, Louise. So are you sure you want to give them another job to do that they might not know how to do? I mean, you could look at the matter this way. Family members could provide maintenance for your vehicle. They could take care of the clogged toilet or even give you a needed haircut. But do they know what they're doing? That's a good question. And maybe they don't have time to do all those things. So I'm going to show you a short video right now. And the video is focused on choosing your healthcare proxy, which in California is your healthcare proxy is the power of attorney that gets appointed in a document, which is your advanced healthcare directive. So here we go. Whoop. That was a very short video. Okay.
There we go.
Be your healthcare proxy? Like if you need someone to tell the doctor what to? I just go with whatever the doctors say. I wouldn't want to bother them. They're so busy. Doctors know best, right? Be your health.
It worked before when we tested it.
Care proxy? Sure, I'd be happy to. If I'm in town, check out my Instagram pics from Peru. Wish you were here.
Oh, I could never let you go. I can't even throw a plant away. As long as it's got one little green leaf. I'd be like, can't we upload her to the cloud?
Well, heck yeah! I've given this a lot of thought. Let me tell you what decisions you're best off going with. You never let them resuscitate. And if they even try to hook you up to one of those breathing machines,
Be your healthcare proxy? Like if you need someone to tell the doctor what to? I just go with whatever the doctors say. I wouldn't want to bother them. They're so busy. Doctors know best, right?
Mandy's being crossed off quite a few times here.
We did test this out. It worked.
Did.
Be your healthcare proxy? Sure, I'd be happy to. If I'm in town, check out my Instagram pics from Peru. Wish you were here.
Oh, I could never let you go. I can't even throw a plant away. As long as it's got one little green leaf. I'd be like, can't we upload her to the cloud?
well, heck yeah! I've given this a lot of thought. Let me tell you what decisions you're best off going with. You never let them resuscitate. And if they even try to hook you up to one of those breathing machines, never! I got this! I totally got this!
How can you even talk about this? I can't, okay? I just can't. Mom, it's not like you're gonna die. No, I can't talk right now.
Oh wait, did I show you that meme from iFunny? The cat and the dishwasher? Oh my gosh, okay. So the cat's like, bleh. And then he's like, wah! Oh wait, sorry, what?
Well, hon, you and I have been through so much together. Here's what we'll do. We'll sit down, we'll get a cup of coffee, and you tell me what matters to you.
Well, it wouldn't be easy. I mean, I'd be sad, but I'd have your back.
I remember when we went through this with Mom, we really spoke for her. So I think I can do that for you. Let's talk about what you would want.
So I wanted to show you that because, oh, thank you. I wanted to show that because it really, I encourage people to think about when you're appointing someone in your plans for your life affairs. And don't hesitate to talk to a whole bunch of people, even professional fiduciaries. I recommend that people interview several of them to get one that actually matches your personality and you feel very comfortable with. There's a couple of other questions that I can answer here. One is, do professional fiduciaries handle issues other than financial ones? Well, I guess that's pretty clear from the conversation that we've had. So, well, it's not actually a conversation, I'm talking at you, but anyway, the information, yes, we can do many different things. I actually have several special needs trusts with beneficiaries, and I provide for their housing and their health care and make sure that things work for them. Now, probably no one here is a beneficiary of a special needs trust, but you might have family members who are. I've made arrangements for people to get to the doctor, and it's just like what I consider myself a concierge fiduciary. I'm in the trenches with you with what you need, and there are many of us like that in California. And another question is, what is the difference between a financial advisor and a professional fiduciary? Well, several years back in the investment industry, the term fiduciary, that investment advisors could only use that term if they did their investments according to the individual person. They couldn't do investments like broad stroke. Okay, you're 60 years old, so this is what you should invest in. So financial advisors do operate with that fiduciary duty of making sure that they're doing it, their investment is applicable to you personally. But a professional fiduciary, I oversee financial advisors for my clients to make sure that they're following the proper criteria, that if we had to go into court, I could prove that, yes, we're using the legal requirements for investments for this person. And then the question, what are the fees involved? And is it that something that one renews on a regular basis? Fees, there's two types of fees. There's hourly fees. Most of my clients are hourly fees. There's also percentage of assets. So depending on what you're managing, you might have a fiduciary who I charge 0.85%, 85 basis points. My fees currently are $140 an hour. Most of my clients use that. I have a couple that also do the overall assets, because then they don't have to worry about calling me up when they need me, and I can go and visit with them on a regular basis. So now I would really like to know what questions you might have that we haven't covered.
Any questions?
Oh, come on, there's got to be some.
No?
No?
Any on chat?
Well, let me ask you some questions then. Is there anyone here who uses a professional fiduciary currently? Thank you. Very smart. Is there any situation where you might consider looking at hiring a professional fiduciary? Yeah. Healthcare proxy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That works really well. I'm hearing a murmur somewhere? No? No? Yes.
Let me just commentary. I think that most of the residents here have taken steps along those lines already, either with their family or outsiders, but they also have entrusted or reacted to the dialogue we've had when we came on board.
Okay.
Because White Sands makes sure that you have taken care of some of these issues as you travel along. So the issue of having a professional fiduciary probably comes up at the point where you probably feel helpless and you feel that what you have bargained for at White Sands may or may not fit you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if when you get to that point, you're able to make an intelligent decision about the fiduciary.
Thank you for that comment. I can see that that would be a,
I think another situation might be if you think you come here and you have everything set up, and then the situation with the person that you've named as your second person no longer seems to be the right person, whether it's a family member or a spouse or something like that, and you think, oh, well, I've got to look around for somebody else. I think that's something that happens. No questions in chat. So, thank you.
well, thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your attention. Appreciate it. And if anyone wants to talk to me afterward, I will be hanging around.
Okay. That concludes, Get It Straight.